Shabbat Shalom, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so happy to be back and on a cold morning to share with you the Parsha entitled Vayishlah. Does anyone know what Vayishlah means? It has it's a full sentence. And he sent. Vayishlah. And he sent in past tense. Okay? So I'm going to go quickly over what the Parsha is about. Then I'm going to show you a very moving clip that I want you to look for about 2 minutes and tell me how that clip that I showed you, which is very updated, relates to the Parsha. Okay? In a minute, we will start the PowerPoint, and then we'll go to the clip. Okay. So we can start the slides now. Okay, so Meryl, just read those 2 paragraphs. Meryl,
Sure.
please.
Jacob, now Israel, has lived in exile for years, working for Lavan. As he prepares to return home, he faces the unresolved conflict with his brother Esau, whom he had deceived years earlier. The Parsha includes a dramatic encounter between Yaakov and an angel, Yaakov's wrestling match and transformation, a troubling incident involving his daughter Dinah, and the reconciliation between Yaakov and Esau.
Very good. That's in a nutshell the overarching description of what's going to happen this morning. Okay. Thank you, Meryl.
Thank you.
So these are the topics of the Parsha. Those are the topics of the Parsha. We, of course, will not going to go through them, all of them, but Jacob prepares to meet Esau. Jacob wrestles with the angel. Jacob reconciliation with Esau. The Dinah incident. The death of Rachel. The 12 tribes of Israel. The death of Isaac and Rebekah. And the descendant of Esau. We have a lot to cover. If we go half, I'll be very happy. Move on, please. Okay, so questions that we are going to discuss if we get there. Patty, can you read those, please, the questions?
How does Jacob approach the meeting with Esau? What is his strategy?
Okay.
What is the significance of this wrestling match and what does it symbolize? What does the new name Israel mean and how does it reflect Jacob's inner transformation? What happens when Jacob and Esau meet? Why does Esau accept Jacob's gifts and why does Jacob feel the need to give them? Why did Shechem, the son of Hamor, ask his father to get me this girl as a wife? And what are the resulting issues? What are the moral and ethical implications of the actions of Simon and Levi of killing the men of Shechem?
Okay, very good. Thank you for those are questions that we'll try to go over as we progress with reading the Parsha. The next slide. Philosophical questions. Who is there on the screen that wants to read it? Maybe whoever
I'll read
wants.
it.
Okay, thank you.
Can true reconciliation happen without mutual forgiveness?
No.
What is required for healing a rift in relationships? Are there moments in your life where you have wrestled with a challenge or conflict that led to personal growth? Think of a challenging moment in your life when you have experienced personal transformation. How did that struggle shape your identity and perspective on life? Rashi presents 2 opinions about Esau's kiss. One says it wasn't sincere, while the other said it was genuine. Which of these explanations resonates more with you and why? What do you What do you make of Jacob's character with this quote? Quote, no, I pray you, if you would do me this favor, accept from me this gift. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God, and you have received me favorably. End of quote.
That's
Very good. Very good. I wanted to know if one of you can take one question and share it at the end. You don't have to do all of it, but maybe you can take one question and share with the group if you're willing to. Okay? I will share question number 3 later if I have time. Question number 3, I will share with you. Okay, next.
Second, I want to take could you put that up for 30 seconds?
Yes.
I thought it was so good. I wanted that, and I wanted to take a picture of it.
Go back, please.
1 second, because it's very poignant, especially when you have kids and relatives. And just 1 second. Thank you. I got it. I didn't mean to take up time.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, some pictures. We can actually stop now because we are going to go now to the clip. It's a little emotional. It's a little bit strong. The main character of this clip, the name of the person, the woman who is in that clip, her name is Moran Stella Yanai. And I'm not going to say anything. I just want you to see it and reflect on that.
Have you visited Israel before? No. Have you visited Gaza before? Probably not. When he asked you what is a Palestinian and you couldn't answer it, then I'm asking you what is a Gaza civilian? Can you answer me? I will answer to you. When you're advocating for that, and I'm telling you, you're advocating for not have rights, for women to not have rights, because women do not have rights in the Arab society. You're advocating for people, you're talking about genocide. Well, I'm here to say, when October 7 happened, and that's a fact, they told me it in the inside. They didn't know about the Nova Festival music. They didn't know that we have 3,000 people in there. They planned, and they told me that, they planned to move on and kill as much as they could in Beersheba, in Tel Aviv, in Haifa. They wanted to slaughter everybody. You know what? Maybe you will not believe me. I can present you my videos that I took there. Do you know how many bodies I saw? Do you know how many bodies were there? Do you know how much violence was taken on me? I was caught in the middle of a lynch. When I was entering Gaza, and I told you before, I have Arab suppliers, I have Arab neighbors and Arab friends. When I was entering Gaza, and there is a video of that, I saw 100% of civilians celebrating me being taken. I didn't know about the other hostages. I thought it was only me. I didn't know about that. All I saw is 100% of civilians lynching me, beating me up. I was with a broken leg. I had bruises all over my body. Do you know that I've never cursed them? I've never argued with them, and I've never treated them like garbage. I respected them, even when they abused me.
Wow. עוד הרבה מה ללמוד.
Okay. And my question to you is, when we go over the Parsha, is what is the relationship between that clip and the Parsha itself? If you can find relationship between the two, and maybe we can share it with the entire group. So that's
who is she asking the questions to?
I will answer it, even though I didn't want to answer that. The guy who is there is a denier of October 7th. The guy who was on the left side, he denies October 7th.
He's from Gaza.
From the United States. From the United States. Yeah.
So,
from probably a right-wing group. Okay? Very right, extreme. Okay. I answered your question, even though that I wanted to keep it still open, and I'm happy you asked that. Anyhow, so we're going to go now to the Parsha itself. We have a lot to cover. And as you can see, my voice is not the best today, but we're going to start. So who would like to start reading today? Hi, David.
What page are we on?
Okay, sorry. It's 1098.
No,
198.
198.
I got that. Yeah, okay.
Okay. So who would like to read?
I'll read.
Thank you.
Okay. Jacob sent messengers. That's where you want me to start?
Yes, please.
Jacob sent messengers ahead to his brother Esau in the land of Seir, the country of Edom, and instructed them as follows. Thus shall you say to my lord Esau, thus says your servant Jacob, I stayed with Laban and remained until now. I have acquired cattle, asses, sheep, and male and female slaves, and I send this message to my lord in the hope of gaining your favor. The messengers...
Okay, up to here. So the bottom line is he wants to have a meeting, and he's a wealthy guy, and he sends different animals there. Can I ask you which animal is not included here and why? Look at the animals that are here.
Camels.
Look at verse number 6. Cattle, asses, camels. Who said that?
I said it.
Okay, very good. And why camels are not mentioned here?
I have a feeling like camels are really valuable and precious, and he's willing to give things up, but not the really good stuff.
Okay, leave it as is. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. But leave it as is. But you were 99.9 right. Meryl, you wanted to add to that?
No, I was saying the same thing, but for different reason.
Okay. You know, if you have a camel, it's like you have a Porsche. Okay. It is a valuable cattle. Okay. Anyhow, so why is he asking him? Why is he calling him Lord, my Lord? Isn't it too strong, or?
He's feeling guilty.
Feeling guilty. Okay. All right.
He's trying to make nice with his brother now because he screwed him over.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Overly nice. Yes. I would say Esau won't be. I don't think that Esau was considered as a lord. You know, we know other lords in Britain, in other big names. Okay, but well, let's move on.
He also refers to himself as servant.
That's correct. Yeah.
Is he sincere? That's the question that I have. When you make apologies, and this goes throughout life and whatever, is he sincere in doing this, or is it something that bothers him more than his wanting to make amends? I don't know. That's when you talk about. Well, I don't know.
Good question. But when he said, by the way, Lord, you know how do you say Lord in Hebrew?
Adoni.
Adoni. Very good. And Adoni is spelled like Adonai, exactly the same like God. Adoni and Adonai, name of God, is the same thing. Okay. All right. So let's continue where we left off. Go ahead. Continue, please.
Let's see. We're on. The messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to your brother Esau. He himself is coming to meet you, and there are 400 men with him. Jacob was greatly frightened. In his anxiety, he divided the people with him, and the flocks and herds and camels into 2 camps, thinking, if Esau comes to the one camp and attacks it, the other camps may yet escape.
Okay, that's great. So one of the questions I asked you earlier is what strategy up to now is Jacob is now using? There are 3 big strategies that he's using, but what are the strategies that you see thus far?
Gifts. One
Gifts.
is gifts.
Gifts, yes.
Groveling.
Okay. So the gift is one thing. We say in Hebrew, doron, matana. Okay, matana. He prepares gifts. He also prays. And you know what? he's a very smart leader. He's preparing for war as well. Okay? So he uses 3 strategies. The prayer from God, get ready to a war, okay? And of course, prayer. Sandy, you wanted to say something?
Yes, the interesting thing is he didn't ask his messengers if Esau was bringing weapons. They might have been totally unarmed and he wouldn't have had to be so frightened and wouldn't have had to do the military strategy.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes. So I'm going to ask you why Esau came with 400 people. Why did he need to come with 400 people?
According to the text, that's the standard size of a battalion.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to take a call. Sorry.
And what is behind that? Did Esau plan a war? Do you think that Esau himself wanted to come to fight Jacob? And we know that Jacob is a peace person. He's like a person that doesn't like wars, doesn't like the conflicts like that. But why 400 people? And one more question is, look at the level of anxiety. Who knows how many Prozacs he needed to take that day if he saw that big crowd.
You said we know that Jacob is a man of peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that, but Esau doesn't know that. And they haven't spoken in all these years, and we know that he was tricked. So we know that, but I would say Esau doesn't.
So you think, David, that Esau planned to fight?
No.
I think he planned to be prepared.
I see.
I
Okay.
mean, other than that, how else? Why would you come with so many people?
That's my question. Yes.
Well, I have a different answer. I think to show, listen, I'm here, but I don't need, if you're not asking me to come with sincerity, I don't need your apology. If it's sincere, it's one thing, but see, I'm doing okay. I have these 400 people. I'm doing all right. I'm coming, but I want to make sure, not that you're going to harm me, but it's like if I say to you, I'm sorry, because I think I should say it, but I'm not sincere about it. So I think he's saying, I'm okay. And if it's a sincere thing, fine. I don't know. I mean, it's how,
Yeah.
Eyal, do we know how many people were with Jacob?
No, we don't. That's not the question I want to ask you. We don't know his army, his people who are coming to protect him. We know Esau, but we know the background of Esau too, right? That he's a militant. What did Esau do for a living?
He was a hunter.
He was a hunter. He was probably, maybe as David suggested, maybe he was looking for blood, for war. Okay, maybe. If
He
you
was on a Chabad trip with 600 people, 400 people.
What's that?
He was on a Chabad journey with 400 people.
Okay, probably. Yeah.
I think they were both unsure of the other's reaction, and as a result, they wanted to come prepared just in case.
Well, good answer. I agree. But do you look at the verse 8. Why did Jacob divided the people? It says in Hebrew, it says the word vayichatz. Does anyone know how to say in Hebrew half? Chetzi shekel. Vayichatz. He divided, and in the English it's divided, but here it's really half and half. Why he divided the group like that? Can you make something?
So he would only lose half.
what?
Which half?
If they battled, he would only lose half.
Which half? And we'll see in a minute. Which half? We'll see in a minute. Okay. And I want to hear your opinion of which half. Okay. By the way, in verses 8 here, you see that there are camels there. Do you see the word gmalim? Yeah. Now they came back. Okay. So they're supposed to not having them before, and all of a sudden. So I would say when he started without the gemalim, the camels, he was very humble. Now it's becoming a little bit more showing off that
Well,
I'm.
that's the difference. This time in verse 8, he's talking about the camels that he's dividing. Earlier in the portion, he's talking about what he has to give.
Yeah, but here now he divides the camels. God forbid if they will die. But before he doesn't
But
say
it's all
anything.
his.
Yes, yes. Meryl?
I think she went to get a call. I don't think she's
You're
online.
muted,
I think she's on.
Merle.
Sorry, I have a workman came. Sorry about that. I was going to say the wow factor. He was coming to say, you know, I'm giving you all of this, and then we have a whole discussion about that, but that he was saving the camels like for a wow factor. He's not showing his whole hand in the beginning.
Okay. So let's finish this phrase and move to another great topic. 9, read verse number 9. Whoever read before, please.
So into two camps thinking, if Esau comes to the one camp and attacks it, the other camp may yet escape.
Okay.
Then Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me, return to your native land, and I will deal bountifully with you. I am unworthy of all of the kindness that you have so steadfastly shown your servant with my staff. Alone I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become two camps.
Okay, up to here. So is there any kind of guilty conscience here? Why does it say that I have to go back to Israel because to Canaan because it's where I was supposed to be? Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Oh God, my father Abraham and God of my father Esau, return. They said that return to your native land. Why does he have to tell him that? Why is it so important to him to know that? Okay, so he tells him, he says it as part of preparing for a conversation. My favorite phrase is katonti 11. I'm unworthy of all the kindness that you have so steadfastly shown me. What is katonti in Hebrew? Katonti.
Where's Merle?
What? No, katonti. Katan is small. Okay, Katan is small. So Jacob, yes, David?
He's talking to himself here.
Yeah.
Right? Who's he talking? He's talking to himself. He's not talking to Esau yet.
No, he's talking to himself. Yes.
Yeah. So he's having this conversation in his head. And I think he's working out what's going on meeting Esau and the trepidation of doing that. I think that's what's going on. And that's why he's reminding himself why he's here, what he's got to do. And I think it shows his state of mind. That's Beverly, that's a legal thing there, by the way, his state of mind. What do you think?
Yeah. So, Beverly, you want to respond?
I have nothing to say.
Okay.
Could it be that he was talking to God?
That's another interpretation. Probably because later on, he says in verse number 12, Hatzileni na miyad achi. You see that? Help, deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother. He asked him to save him, to help him from his brother. But the word katonti, I want to go back to the word katonti. So when Jacob left Canaan, he left himself with what? With what kind of things he had in his hands?
Nothing.
Yeah. What's that?
Nothing.
David left the country very poor. And so he said, Katonti, I was so poor. I was homeless. I was with nothing. Now I have this all those things, and I'm returning to Canaan now as a wealthy man. In other words, it's another strategy to show his brother, even though we're not sure who he's talking to, he's showing his brother that he's willing to part from some of his properties or wealth to make peace.
Eyal, do we know how he acquired all this wealth?
That's a good question. Cattle
Well,
It's kind of
he was working for Laban, and he was successful as a farmer. You know, he was a subcontractor to Laban.
So he becomes sort of a man of the earth, almost like Esau does as a hunter.
Yeah, he was a self-made man.
I always thought he was the studious one, the one who's with
Judy, I think you're right. I think that's a good observation.
Well, and most studious was his father. He's the one that, is always described as learning and sitting in the tent. But we see a total transformation of Jacob, Yaakov, which I think is so brilliant, the way that the writers of the Torah in Genesis gave him this opportunity to do over. He has a total do-over, and he makes a 180, and it gives us schleppers hope that we don't have to be perfect, but we can always improve.
Yeah, and well said. And another thought is, you need to get out of your country to become wealthy, and then you come back. How many people that had to leave Israel to go to America or to another European country to develop themselves, to get some wealth, and then they came to Israel or not, or supported Israel? So that's the way I looked at that he had to leave Israel, or Canaan at the time, came back to Israel as a wealthy man, probably bought a big 5 million apartment in Tel Aviv when he came back. Anyhow, so let's move on. And here we're talking about the two machanot, the two camps. Someone else to read? Who wants to? Sandy, you want to read?
Take it. Sure.
Thank you, Patty. Sandy, verse number 12.
Okay. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. Else, I fear, he may come and strike me down, mothers and children alike. Yet you have said, quote, I will deal bountifully with you and make your offspring as the sands of the sea, which are too numerous to count.
Okay, so Sandy, can you make it simple? What did he say? What's happening here? Or you're
He's.
What's that?
I'm sorry, I muted myself accidentally.
Okay.
He's praying to God for success in the battle, and it's saying that he remembers that he was promised that he will be able to produce offspring too numerous to count. And it's a bargaining thing.
Yes. So he's asking from God for help, and God tells him, you will be so big, you will be all over, you will multiply and have a lot of children, grandchildren, as the sand in the sea. Here's the next, we can make a movie out of that. Verse number 14. Go ahead, Sandy. After spending the night
there, he selected from what was at hand these presents for his brother Esau: 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milch camels. Oh, they're the camels with their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses and 10 he-asses. Interesting that there are more she's than he's, of course, and we understand that reason.
Yeah.
These he put in charge of his servants, drove by drove, and he told his servants, quote, go ahead and keep a distance between droves, end quote. He instructed the one in the front as follows, quote, when my brother Esau meets you and asks you, whose man are you? Where are you going? And whose animals are these ahead of you? You shall answer, your servant Jacob. And they are sent to my lord Esau, and Jacob himself is right behind us. He gave similar instructions to the second one and the third and all the others who followed the droves, namely, thus and so shall you say to Esau when you reach him, and you shall add, and your servant Jacob himself is right behind us. For he reasoned, if I propitiate him with presents in advance and then face him, perhaps he will show me favor. And so the gift went on ahead, and he remained in the camp that night.
Okay, so what is the strategy here? What kind of order he put there? I know the gifts are pretty good, but what kind of division of camps did he do there, and why? Okay, so he divided them in sections, and do you make out of that something? What is it? Is there? Can you see any sequence here? Can you see something that makes sense? Why is such a divided group?
Well, he's testing. He's testing if it's not going to work, he's not going to lose everything, and you can sort of retreat. So he's doing it, the first group, then okay, and testing to see if he's not sure what's going to happen. So you put everything, as they say, all your eggs in the first basket.
And the order that he's doing it now is in verse number 23, and tell me if it's something that you justify, especially those. Look what he's doing, how he divides the people. David, whoever, one of the Davids, 23. Can you read?
I'll read, thank you. That same night, Jacob got up, took his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and his 11 children, and crossed at a ford of the Jabbok River. After taking them across the stream, he sent across all that he owned. Now Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him. Okay, just
up to here. So who is he putting? The order? Where does he do with his family, his own family?
The most vulnerable.
Where?
First, the wives and the children, but then we'll read which wife is the most protected. But certainly, first he sent the most vulnerable.
Okay,
and we see in Genesis that the most vulnerable were at the end, and in Shemot, and then the most vulnerable were attacked when they were at the end. So he sent the most vulnerable first.
So he's protecting his family and first, and he's taking care of them. And then it's too quick here, because now what happens is he's moving Nahal Yabok, the river, which is it's like similar to the Jordan River from the east of Israel. And here is the big fight. He was alone. Okay, in verse number 25. Continue to read, please. Continue.
Now Jacob was left alone. A man wrestled with him until the rise of dawn. When the man saw that he could not overcome him, he struck Jacob's hip socket, so that Jacob's hip socket was wrenched as the man wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, dawn is breaking." But
okay,
Jacob said,
up to here. Lots of questions I have for you now here. So who is the guy who is, of course, who is the guy who is fighting with? An angel. Why it says a man and not an angel? Does Jacob know that this is an angel?
Yes, no.
Yes or no?
I guess not.
Okay, probably not. And why does this angel why does he need to leave by the morning? Why he tells him, "Let me go, we're fighting now, it's already morning"? Why does he have to leave by the morning?
Well, Rabbi Zaslow said yesterday the angel left because it had to get to Minyan.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, but that's a good one. He had to go to. Okay, I buy that. But what do you think? What do you make out of that? That the angel said, "Enough fighting, I have to go."
He was dreaming.
Woke up from his dream.
It was a dream, and he woke up, and that's why he said, "I have to go," because when you wake up, it's done. I don't know.
Okay, and very good. Another thought, maybe something else.
That's the way angels are. That's the way angels are. They're like, that was the angel's job, and the angel's job was done. Angels have
you're very close.
If you believe in angels, they have specific jobs.
and you're very close, and they have specific timing. Angels don't function during daytime.
Wow, they're like
Okay.
that.
All right.
But sometimes they do. The ones that came to Avram, when he was still Avram, they came to the tent during the day. So,
That's right. Good point,
yeah.
Laurel.
In your
Okay.
earlier presentation this morning, you showed us a picture and the angel had wings. Are we to assume that angels all have wings or
Well,
unless they disguise themselves as a man?
Okay.
Were
Yes.
angels ever women? Are there female angels?
You're asking me a hard question.
Judy, since they're in our mind,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yes. Okay.
But let me also add, Eyal, this is the second dream sequence for Jacob. So remember a couple parshas before. So he is a person who has some pretty vivid dreams. We know that.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. What was the dream earlier, David? Do you remember? Jacob's ladder.
Yes, Jacob's ladder, and he
That the
makes
angels
a vow,
go
but
up and
it's like,
down. This.
if you do this, then I will believe in you.
Meryl?
Yeah, so I was remembering what David Kay said a couple weeks ago about the ladder. And I disagree with my dear brilliant Sandy, because I think it was Sandy. We see a tremendous growth in Yaakov between dreams. In the first dream, he was bartering. You do this for me, and then maybe, okay, I'll believe in you if you give me X, Y, Z. You've got to give me all the stuff. And now we have a mature Yaakov who says, God, you gave me more than I need. I have a lot. I don't need stuff. You don't have to prove that to me. But God, save me, help me in this encounter with my brother so that I can fulfill the commandment that you laid upon my grandfather and father and me. So I see a tremendous amount of growth, and I see him not asking for stuff like quid pro quo in his more mature years.
In his more mature, he says, you've already blessed me.
Yes.
Okay. Who is winning that battle between the angel and Jacob? Who is stronger? Based on that.
The angel.
I think it's a tie.
You think so?
Yeah.
So okay. Does anyone think that Jacob won the battle? The wrestling?
I think he took some hits,
Yeah.
He wasn't knocked out, in one of the earlier rounds.
Right.
But, the angel changes his name. He gets a blessing.
Don't go that far yet.
He took some hits, but yeah.
Okay. Yes. I actually agree with you. I think Jacob was the guy who won that battle, in my opinion. And before he leaves, what does Jacob ask from the angel? The angels tell him, let me go. It's a daytime. I need to go. My meter is down. I have to leave. And the angel, Jacob said to him, I'm not letting you go until you bless me. So does Jacob know now that this guy is a messenger of God, is the angel? And the angel asked him, what's your name? Did you hear that? In Exodus, in verse 28, what is your name? And he replied, Jacob. Why does the angel need to ask Jacob what's his name? Did the angel know his name?
Yeah.
Wasn't it given?
It's the only way he could change it.
That's correct. Okay.
But also, if I may, there's a beautiful, there's a beautiful connection between his name and his self-identity. With the former, when he asked his father for a blessing, and here he's asking for a blessing, he was asking under the guise of his brother's identity. So now we see a man who's fully in himself, and it shows tremendous growth. And hopefully he's overcome his predilection to be devious and lie and cheat, especially vis-a-vis encountering his brother.
Very good. Very good. So here, his name is no longer Jacob, and he said to him, your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with being divine and human and have prevailed. So I have to ask you something. Why does he call him Israel? It's like, what does the name Israel now? What kind of meaning does it have? I like the name Yaakov. Why Israel? But why is he changing the name here? Okay, so the answer to that is Ki sarita im Elohim ve'im anashim ve'tuchal. Exercise, verse number 29, the name Sarita in Hebrew has to come, the word Sarita has to do with Israel. Sarita, because you were able to overcome. Said, your name shall be longer Jacob, for you have striven with being divine and human and have prevailed. Okay, so by the way, those of you who want to know the name Israel, the state of Israel, the original name of the state of Israel is the first time. This came from here, from that verse. The name Israel, the state of Israel, it came from that verse. So, and then verse 30. Can you read, please, Judy? Verse 30. Jacob asked.
Jacob asked, "Pray tell me your name." But he said, "You must not ask my name." And he took leave of him there.
Okay. So can you make something out of it? Why is he not answering his name? It's not polite, no? What's your name? I told you my name is Israel. Why don't you tell me who you are? We know that angels have names, right? Amalach Gavriel, Amalach. Yeah. Why does he want to identify himself? It's interesting why. Open question. You don't have to answer it, but it's a question that I ask myself when I read it. It's not, you're being bitten so you were bitten badly. You left me all night. You don't even, and you don't even tell me who you are. You don't, So, okay. So we'll leave it open at this time. Okay.
The angels got hurt. Do you think the angel was hurt in any way? And we know that Israel was.
I don't know that. I don't think that Jacob was a macho man. He was a man of peace. I mean, he didn't work in a club. He didn't have probably muscles. So I don't think he was very strong. But David, what do you want to say?
Thank you. In verse 29, the name change. When Avram and Sarah had their name changed, Hashem inserted the hey into their name and became Abraham and Sarai. Here, it's completely different. Hashem is not inserting something into Jacob. He's changing him to something else.
Okay. Wow. David Koons?
You asked the question, why doesn't the angel give his name? If the angel gives his name, that gives power to that specific angel. And I think forever we will talk about Angel Tom, whatever his name is, having that. And I think by not having a name, the focus stays on Jacob. And I think the angel was just what's the word? A tool to affect this. And I think so it minimizes his role.
You're right. I like it. Yes. Meryl?
That's really interesting, David. Also, we keep seeing iterations of Panav, Peniel, face to face, a whole bunch of times in these verses. So the idea, an encounter with God face to face, up close. So I think it's more about Jacob's relationship to God. And as David said, okay, the angel's a tool, but the angel has little importance. And I think we're supposed to read this as, like a proxy for God. Panav, Paniel.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, Stephanie?
Good morning. I think a lot of times angels are from within, and that's why he didn't have a different name. He is himself.
Okay. What time is it by you now, Stephanie?
9:45 p.m. on Saturday night.
Wow, that's I feel like I'm honored that you're still that late. Yes, that's great. That's great. Anyone wants to add to that? That was nice. I wanted just to tell you something. What just Meryl brought in. Judy, can you read 31 again? Can you read 31? Verse 31.
So Jacob named the place Peniel, meaning I have seen a divine being face to face, yet my life has been preserved.
Okay, just a second. So what is Pni El in Hebrew? Pni El.
Face of God.
Yeah, Pni is abbreviation of Panim. Ponim, Shoine Ponim. Panim. El is name of God. So he named that place Pni El because he saw the face of God. Who else saw the face of God in the history of the Jewish people?
Moshe.
So is Jacob is the second person who saw, unless you've seen God, but
wait,
do you know anyone
Moshe
else?
saw God's back, not his face.
That's correct. So is it something different that Jacob saw, the only person who saw God's face in biblical time? You're right. Moses was in the back.
But they use the same expression. They do use the panim al panim, face to face, even though Moses had to then put the veil on. But technically it's at back, but then it's used the same language.
But it's very clear the way he says it. Ki raiti Elohim panim el panim. I saw God face to face. It's very clear that he saw the face of God here. Interesting. Moses didn't see his face, but Jacob saw his face. Moses, we're not comparing, but just a fact. Okay.
So Jacob is thinking the angel is God?
Maybe.
Ultimately.
Yeah. Or at least a representative of that. Anyhow, we need to move on, because I'm going to show you the map. Where is Pnuel today in a few minutes? It's a place. It's a real place. Okay. So what happens to Jacob at the end of this confrontation? Look at verse number 33.
Yeah.
Judy?
That is why the children of Israel to this day do not eat the thigh muscle that is on the socket of the hip, since Jacob's hip socket was wrenched at the thigh muscle.
Okay, so if you need to learn about kashrut, there is here. Why don't we eat that part of the body? It's something that we can deal later. Okay, any questions, any reflections up to here before we move to more exciting stuff? Now it's the real meeting between Esau and Jacob. You know, it reminds me when I was in the army band. So Anwar Sadat came to Israel, okay, and I was playing in the band at the airport in Ben Gurion Airport, and the flight was delayed because security reasons. It was cold at the airport, like today. It was cold, and all of a sudden, the airplane of Sadat comes to Israel, and we were there. And who welcomed Sadat? Who was the prime minister at the time? Do you remember? It was Begin, okay, and Begin and Sadat met together, and that's something that I would never forget. How friendly they became, and how warm was the welcoming between Sadat and Begin. It reminds me of Yaakov and Esau. Okay, Sadat won the 6 day, not won, but he does badly on Yom Kippur War. He was somewhat anti-Semite. That's what they say. He wrote about it. And here Begin and Sadat come and greeted us there like we have it here. All right. So we were thinking there's going to be a fight, but there wasn't a fight. 33, chapter 33. Who wants to read it? David Rogolsky, can you read the 33, the beginning? Looking up, Jacob saw.
Yeah.
Sure. When Jacob was looking into the distance, he beheld Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 maids. He placed the maids and their children in front, Leah and her children next, with Rachel and Joseph last. He himself went on ahead of them and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. Esau, though, ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they burst into tears.
Okay, so can someone, if you had to be a director for a movie, and you needed to make a YouTube or a documentary about this meeting, how would you describe it? How emotional, or I better not go too far. What do you see out of this meeting?
Reconciliation.
Reconciliation is the word, correct? So aren't there extremes getting ready to a war?
Yeah,
To a real
tremendous
kiss
tension.
and a hug? Isn't
Tremendous tension and unknown.
Yeah. And how much emotions were there?
But I have a question. If he invited him to come to make peace, and he didn't have to come, but why? So he could have come to make war. Didn't he know where Jacob was? He could have come at any time with his 400 men to make war. So coming now, I don't understand that if he was going to come now, he was taking up the offer to make peace, because he could have done that anytime without an offer, and he did not. So it bothers me that Jacob still had that little bit of that maybe things are not going to go well. And so I'm saying, he was doing this. We do a lot of things because it is the right thing to do, but it's not necessarily the sincere thing. There is for me in my life, and who cares about me, things that this is the right thing to do, but are you 100% sincere? I apologize to you, but I don't, in my heart of hearts, okay, I need to do that. So I have some issues here. That's all.
Okay. I love what you said. Are you sincere? Are you genuine? Are you real? Do you mean it? That's what you're asking. Very good. Very good. Yes, Judy?
I'm wondering if we don't know Esau's point of view. We don't know what he's thinking, do we? It doesn't say any place. So maybe after all these years, he's sort of playing the hand, like he's worried. He's afraid of me. I'm gonna hold off a little longer just to play with his brother. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think that Esau's more of a mensch, and he's like, I'm over this.
Yeah.
If you're gonna worry, that's your issue. Because he has never, even since way back, since the deception, he's never been the one to initiate the issues between him and his brother.
Correct.
And it doesn't, and I don't think it's reasonable for us to limit, even if we project their motives. It doesn't have to just be one motive or one emotion. This is a loaded time, and Esau understandably vowed to kill Jacob for stealing his blessing. We can go, that we can deliberate on all of that. How important was the blessing to him when he gave away his birthright? But at any rate, if we just read the Peshat, Esau was never really, the simplest interpretation doesn't really draw him up to be a horrible, evil man. That came later in rabbinic times. So I guess that's all why our forefather is Yaakov and not Esau.
His mother, you can't forget putting mother in the equation.
Yeah. Correct. But as you suggested, Meryl, he wanted to kill him, and now look at this. He's kissing him, and they're crying. Can you see Asa and crying? That hunter is melting now. I want to cry when I hear that. When I see that, when I
Eyal,
hear you.
when Esau says he's going to kill his brother, and I don't know where it is exactly in the text, but you know how somebody says, I'm going to kill you,
Yeah.
you know, because they're filled with anger, but they're not really going to. Was he saying it, do you think, as an expression? Did he really mean it?
A good question. Yes, yes. The kids said it a lot. I'm going to kill. Children say it like that. Yes, yes. Maybe it didn't grow yet. Anyhow, I'm going to go to take a couple minutes for the most exciting part of this parsha. I mean, I shouldn't say exciting, but probably the most.
Dina.
Okay, it's Dina. Can we skip a little bit? Dina. All right. So, who wants to have the honor of reading chapter 34? We're going to almost be done here because I need to complete a few things here. So who is a good reader, fast reader, and can do it like in, who is a teacher here? Sandy, you're a teacher. Do 34, please, the beginning. Now, Dina, read up, yeah.
Well,
Unmute yourself.
She's getting her glasses.
Unmute yourself.
Sam.
Okay, now Dinah, the daughter whom Leah had borne to Jacob, went out to visit the daughters of the land. Shem, son of Homer the Hivite, chief of the country, saw her and took her and laid her by force. Being strongly drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob, and in love with the maiden, I don't know how that happened so fast, he spoke to the maiden tenderly. So Shem said to his father, Hamor, get me this girl as a wife.
Thank you. Up to here. You're right. Everything goes so fast here. Okay, so
How
fast.
could he be in love with her 1, 2, 3 when he raped her?
Okay.
Yeah, but look at Isaac and Rebecca, thunderbolt. And Yaakov and Rachel, thunderbolt. So
yeah. So he raped her, probably hurt her by force. Okay. She was a young woman at the time, probably really suffered a lot from this kind of behavior. And after that, he goes to his father and asks his father to work out a deal to marry this young woman. What do you make out of that? Well, I mean, I know you're angry. I'm angry too, but why? What's the relationship here between the father and making the deal? Okay. Anyone has any?
Well, it's dowry related.
Okay, right. The fathers make the deal. How in the mind he has the chutzpah after raping this girl to ask to marry her?
I think he wants to make right what he did, and he wants to make amends. He was attracted to her, and he wants to try to do the right thing after his passionate encounter, which was.
Maybe it's a regret. He regrets that he raped her, and maybe now he wants to say, well, maybe now I'll marry you because I did something wrong to you. Is that something they can think about it?
But there's a lot of rape in the that happened then. And I'm not sure. I mean, even when I forgot who it was, gave his daughters up to be raped rather than his sons.
Lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
Thank you. Is it?
And Ed has a question.
Oh,
Eddie?
Is it rape?
A pregnant pause is something that is a device that they use before people meet who have business that could cause trouble. And what you have here is a whole series of pregnant pauses prior to the reconciliation of the family members.
Okay. Thank you. So Eddie, I want to ask you something. Would you think that she would say yes if her father says, okay, we're going to marry you with this guy? Does she have nothing to say about that?
No, she not in that time.
Yeah. You have any problem with that, David?
Do I have a problem with it then or now? Of course, now.
That
I think that's the way things work.
Okay.
I mean, it strikes me that the Bible gets Jacob's daughter into the Torah somehow. Now, it's terrible how, but obviously there was rapes, as Beverly was saying, going on at that time, and something going on. I mean, once again, we have Israelites deceiving somebody to accomplish something. So Jacob deceived Isaac. We have Abraham and Isaac deceiving somebody by saying, hey, she's not my wife, she's my sister. Once again, we have deception, and they trick them. And so why should all of the men of that village die just because Shem rapes Dinah? I don't, it doesn't seem something that we would accept today, for sure.
Right. So, but and all the men there were circumcised because they wanted to create relationship between the two communities. Shem ben Hamor, the guy Shem, came from a rich family, very affluent family. Okay, and he thought that with the money of his father, he would be able to get Dinah, because he thought he's a big shot there. Okay. What happened is Levi and Shimon, the brothers of Dinah, came on the third day. Gosh, they were adult and circumcised. You know how painful it's on the third day? They came and killed them on the third day. Okay. Now, there is a nice midrash. Can we go for a minute to the picture, to the end of the presentation, Eileen, just so the midrash, I want you to read that maybe after, but the midrash is saying that Dinah was not that pure, not that clean. She went to the market. I just want to show the midrash for a minute. The midrash. And it's a very interesting story. If you look at it, who can read it, just the beginning? Someone, because it's...
A midrash suggests that Dinah is responsible for her conduct and the consequences of her action. The proponents of this view argue that her father and brothers would sit in the academy and study, while she preferred to go out and see the daughters of the land. Dinah desired to be seen and not just to see others. She wanted the land's young men to see her beauty, and Shem did indeed see her and desire her. The rabbis compare this to a person who goes into the marketplace holding a piece of meat in his hand with a dog following him. Eventually, the dog will succeed in grabbing the meat from his hand. Well, that's a rough analogy.
Oh my God.
Women's
asked for it.
Women's livers would have a fit.
She asked for it.
She asked for it.
Oh God. According to this analogy, Shem's general behavior was completely unbridled, totally lacking of any self-control. Dinah should have been careful and not shown him her beauty. Some rabbis claim that Dinah is a representative of the weakness from which all women suffer.
Oh my God.
Ouch.
I'm just the reader. Don't shoot the reader.
I know.
God took the care to create women from a rib, which is concealed, modest place. Notwithstanding this, women like to go out in public places. Actually, I got to tell you, I had a totally different view. I thought Dinah was being very brave and connecting with everybody by going out, and she wasn't, quote, asking for anything other than to people understand and connect with her and her family. That's the way I was going to see it and read it.
Okay.
And the Torah really uses words. This is pointed out in the notes. Love. I mean, Shechem really fell for Dinah. So he did a bad thing, and it seems that he was quite violent, but then he really fell for her, and it seemed like the Torah uses the word love. He loved her, and he wanted to marry her and make the shidduch legal. One thing that always bothered me, and Eyal or anybody else, okay, so Shimon and Levi brutally massacred all the males in the town in revenge. So the tribe of Shimon was scattered throughout Judah, but the fact that Levi, who committed this excessive punishing sin, became the Levites, like the Kohen Gadol came from this tribe, of excessively violent people, and they became the high priest. Does that bother anybody else? That bothered me.
It bothers me, but I want to react to something David put in the chat, that Dina was 15 years old. Any of us who have daughters, my daughters were not aware that boys and men were looking at them in such a sexual way. And when I told that, especially to my young, I remember saying it to my youngest, she looked at me and says, "Oh, Dad, that's gross." I mean,
my grandmother, though, but my grandmother, who had to marry the person from her, Lithuania, her father, she had many suitors, but her father said, "No, you're going to marry him." Unfortunately, he died when my father was 4. But my grandmother, who was a widow and babysat us, she told us, you got your period, you stay away from guys because they're going to, my mother didn't tell me, but my grandmother told us that. Now, we thought that was like, oh, yes, we didn't quite understand it, but we were told. But when we talk about rape, women weren't really, they weren't important in those days. So when we rape today, it is horrendous. But I don't know whether, it sounds horrible to say this as a woman, whether it was such an, not that it was a good thing, but that it was so, when we think of it, we just, oh my God.
Plus 15 then isn't 15 now. 15 was considered, maybe like 25 or something.
Yeah.
But David, I take issue almost with what you say, because at 15, teenagers and hormones, they're starting to become very aware of themselves and of the opposite sex. So I don't know if they understand as much about passion and love and devotion and that kind of thing, but something's starting to move when you're a teenager. And
thought of getting raped is not on their mind.
Well,
they think they're going to be a sexual. That I agree with you, Judy, but that the consequence of going out in skimpy clothes is going to lead to rape, I don't think is on their mind.
I'm not thinking rape. I'm thinking attraction.
I think there's two different things.
Absolutely.
When we have to close, I can get in trouble because you have to be in services now, and I'm putting you off services. Anyhow, can we go back to the maps for a minute? To the maps, and then we're going to close because we got to get to the climax of the presentation. Eileen, can we I want to just show them a couple of maps here. Anyhow, meanwhile, we're going. Okay, so look at these maps, and okay, so Pniel. This is when you see that the red mark there, Pniel, is where the fight, where Jacob saw the face of God. It's in the east of the Jordan River. You see the river is on the left, and Sukkot on the left is where Jacob parted from Esau. Next map, please. Shechem. You see Shechem. Can you point out with the cursor, Shechem? Where is Shechem? It's right there. By the way, today Shechem is the capital of the Palestinian Authority. It's a central cultural business of the Palestinians. There are 170,000 people live today in Shechem, and that's where Abraham came first when he entered Canaan, to Shechem. Today, Shechem is also, there's a part that's called Alon Moreh, and that's where Shechem raped Dinah. That's the place. Okay, and the next map. Bethel. You see Bethel in the red? It's where it's north of Jerusalem, where Jacob had the dream of the ladder with the angel. That's the dream then. And he also built a tomb in honor of God. Next. Okay, we can move on. Okay, move on. We don't have time for that. Okay, move on, please. That's what we read. Okay, so this is Dinah here, Dina's abduction. That's the picture. And it reminds me, sadly, it reminds me again of October 7th, when they put the young women on motorcycles and ran away for them to Gaza. Okay, so now we make it very short. What is the relationship between Moran, Stella, and I, the first two, the clip that I showed you, and Dina? You don't have to answer it, but do you see anything connecting between the woman who spoke early and Dina here?
Nobody would believe it. It's the lack of belief.
Yeah.
And lack of responsibility. It's the lack of not taking responsibility.
Yeah, but Shechem did. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Shechem wanted to make it right, and the terrorists wanted to do it again and again and again, with no contrition. And
let's leave it as at that point, and we have a lot of questions to answer. Thank you very much, and Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and we'll meet again next month.